Okay, today's lesson is writing equations. It's going to be a lot like writing expressions, except we're going to add that equal sign. Today's objective is I can write equations. Here's some key words you want to jot down. We have is as much as, is the same as, is identical to. These will all mean that there is an equal sign involved. It says write an algebraic equation for each of the following. 80 minus 15 times a number is 25. So I have 80 minus 15 times a number. So I have 15, and I'm going to use x as my number, is, that's my equal sign, 25. So I have 80 minus 15 times a number, 15x, is or equals 25. Number 2, 7 times a number squared is the same as 5 times the difference of k and m. 7 times a number, so we'll use n, squared, it's a little square, is the same as, equals, 5 times the difference of k and m. So this times the difference means we're going to need parentheses involved around k and m. So let's start back over. We have 7 times a number squared, so that would be 7 times a number squared, is the same as, or in other words, equals 5 times the difference, so difference means subtraction, of k and m. So it's so important that we put in parentheses the difference of k and m, so k minus m. Otherwise, it's going to not use the correct order of operations. Ms. Hanley had some donuts to give to her class. There were 16 students in class to give donuts to. Ms. Hanley had 3 donuts left after giving each student 2 donuts. Write an equation to represent this situation. So I'm going to go back and read it, and I'm going to underline important information and annotate. So Ms. Hanley had some donuts to give to her class. Okay, so this is somewhat important because we don't know how many donuts she had. So I'm going to call that D. There were 16 students in class to give donuts to. Okay, so we know there were 16 students. Ms. Hanley, spelled wrong the second time, had 3 donuts left after giving each student 2 donuts. Write an equation to represent the situation. So we don't know how many donuts she started with, so we call that D. She gave away or subtracted 2 donuts per student. So we know that she has 16 students, but for each student, she gave away 2 donuts. So I'm going to multiply that. And then we know that she had 3 donuts left. So that would equal 3. Now we're going to switch gears and write each equation in words. So if I read this first one out loud, it says 6 times z minus 15 equals 45. You could also say 15 less than 6 times a number is the same as 45. So there's multiple ways to write it. I'm going to go ahead and go with 6 times a number, which was z, minus 15 is the same as 45. Okay, number 2 says y squared plus 3 times a number equals w. So I have y squared, or I can say a number, squared, plus 3 times x is equal to W. Mr. Fraser gave scoops of ice cream to the students with 0 tardies. He gave 2 scoops each to 25 students, but then started to run out of ice cream. He then gave 1 scoop each to 40 students. The number of scoops Mr. Fraser gave away is the same as the number of scoops Mr. Hughes gave away. Write an equation to represent this situation. So going back, I'm going to underline and circle. Mr. Fraser gave scoops of ice cream to the students with 0 tardies. He gave 2 scoops each. I know that each usually means multiplication, to 25 students, but then started to run out of ice cream. He then gave 1 scoop each to 40 students. The number of scoops Mr. Fraser gave away is the same as, or in other words, equals, the number of scoops Mr. Hughes gave away. So we don't know how many Mr. Hughes gave away, so we will go with a Y. Okay, so starting back from the beginning, I have 2 scoops each for 25 students, plus he's also giving away 1 scoop per student for the 40 students, and that is going to be the same as Mr. Hughes, which you don't know is Y. Okay, this is your question to try. Go ahead and try it on your paper, answer the question, and bring it to class.